All right. We hate money. We hate money. Bonus round with King, the best options trader in the world, retired.
Whoa, 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 whoa. The best options seller in the world.
Selling is trading. Yeah, that's fine. It stands. So, bonus round, we're going to talk a little bit more about Nvidia because Wiz is upset with me for cutting him off. So we'll start there, and then we'll just meander along and talk about whatever you boys want to talk about.
Yeah, that was it was an exciting uh, session. I always love these almost 10% moves in equities. They're just exciting to see. And the horror stories of the people who got it wrong are always fun to hear about. So um, I I felt that people uh, kind of got in the way of something bigger than themselves. A lot of people I know were very upset today, and I feel bad for them because it's hard to know when you're going to get a such a recursive rebound. It was very violent in the morning, but yeah, price. It got a lot of price guides up today. The earnings is coming up. People are pricing it to perfection, and it's dangerous if you're out there and you're trying to trade Nvidia. It's
Mate,
very dangerous going
can I,
into this.
can I just hit you with a few ratios on Nvidia? And again, I'm not super intimate with the business. I mean, I know they make graphics cards. I know they make chips. I know they're now in the AI space. And I did watch that presentation a little while ago about, what they're planning in the future. And yeah, some of the tech was impressive. But from a valuation standpoint, here's some of the ratios. So the PE, 227.41. That's they've got a forward PE of 38.4, which boggles my mind. I wonder if they'll actually grow into the valuation that much. The PEG ratio is 10.7, price to sales of 43.3, price to book of 44, price to free cash flow of 219.81, quick ratio 2.8, current ratio 3.4, which is nice. Yeah, man, I don't know, like it just looks really, really overvalued just off those ratios. And I know ratios don't tell the whole story. It's just a screener. But yeah, it's a wild time for Nvidia at such a large cap to be going up 10% in a session.
It's massive how much confidence that has to put into the company. I just can't really believe that everybody's sitting out there thinking that this is a good place to buy at. So I have to think there's either excessive speculation happening or there's information we just aren't privileged to that somebody knows.
Oh, you know what?
And
Maybe Nvidia has the alien technology. Maybe Nvidia
there it
has the alien
is.
tech and they have reverse engineered it and they're actually going to be a $10 trillion company by 2024.
Or or it's because one of our friends is cursed. Anytime they make any play, it's a losing play.
So
So,
Guaranteed.
inverse.
so a boomer's perspective on this, just briefly. There's an old saying that fundamentals matter, but the fundamentals of your bank account matter more. And you can be as right as you want to be on a company, and you can have all the fundamentals in the world, all the ratios that you just listed. You could be right, but your bank account might not be able to last as long as the exuberance of the market. You got to be very careful with companies like Nvidia because when you are buying Nvidia, you are not buying into Nvidia as a company making it. You are buying into the idea of the industry that Nvidia claims to be able to dominate as being a monetizable industry that they will dominate. So you're betting on it's like a parlay bet in sports. Nvidia is going to be the leader in an industry that's going to take off, in an industry that's going to take off and be monetizable. And we saw that with Facebook when it didn't happen with Meta, with the metaverse, and it probably still might not happen with metaverse, but they've since shifted into other things and rebounded some of their price. Nvidia, I don't know what they rebound into, because at the end of the day, they're not a chip maker, they're a chip designer. They don't make chips, they design them and have them made. And they are a computer parts company. So if they can't make this industry profitable on a level that haven't seen since Cisco in 2001, then I don't know. There's going to be a lot of really sad people on the other side, but can your bank account hold out that long?
That was a very, very good summary. So you go ahead, Wiz, and I'll jump in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree. I think I think people need to really have a good in-depth understanding of if they're going to be a buyer of a stock experiencing these types of highs and these ratios, or a seller, that you have the aptitude to understand the risk you're taking on, because there is long side risk and there's short side risk. Short side risk is just more obvious. In terms of duration. It's long side risk that isn't as obvious. So hopefully people out there are buying because it's a company they're really passionate about and they can afford to wait out 30 odd years and see if Nvidia holds this valuation for however long they're planning to hold it. But yeah, I wouldn't touch it. Same advice we gave last time, Arnie. Don't touch it.
But even at the future PE that Arnie just told us, you're going to be dead before you make that money back. I mean, that's the whole point of a PE, is to tell you how many years it's going to take for you to get your money back out of a company.
Yeah, and it may be good for your grandkids. I don't know.
I want to touch it, boys. I want to touch it. I want to touch it so bad, but I want to touch it from a short position because it just looks ridiculous to me. Like I do need, I don't know. It's opportunity cost, right? Like this is the white whale sort of scenario.
There is the possibility, Arnie, that this stock goes to a new all-time high, even before earnings, even because of earnings. And it all really just depends on what NVIDIA reports that night. If they report that they're a loser, it could be massive potential for winning, on the short side. But if they report they're a winner, no matter which way it goes, it's a big risk at this premium. Big risk.
I don't know. I mean, they've got their earnings are next week sometime, right? I think. And
23rd.
Yeah, 23rd. And last quarter they guided for like they said they were guiding for a huge beat for the year, I believe.
They guided for a record-breaking quarter. They guided for what they have never been able to obtain, even in the height of their COVID business.
So what did do you know roughly off the top of your head what they guided for, King? Because I haven't been following.
I think it was 11 bill. I think their best quarter was like 8.9 and they guided for 11 or 10 and a half, something like that.
From a bunch of sales that nobody knows where that's going to come from.
Well, it's worse than that, because we were tracking who makes their chips, and those people are like, okay, like Taiwan Semiconductor was like, yeah, we don't have the orders that they're claiming to be selling.
Well, if you even look at the chips now, like they've been reporting and they haven't been doing well. So there is a lack of confidence just from those numbers. I mean, so to me, it's surprising NVIDIA went up that much.
Wait, do you believe that they're an ethical company? I mean, that's the question that you have to ask, because no, hold on. Seriously, like you have to believe that if they're an ethical company that follows the rules, they would announce sometime in the next 3 days a pre-announcement that they're not going to hit their quarter. They're not going to hit their guide, because we're getting close to the week mark where you kind of need to tell people, hey, we're not getting anywhere close to our guide. We're just letting you know that before our earnings.
Well,
but if you don't think they're ethical, they could just wing it and just go. I mean, Tesla used to do that for years. They would just wing it, and then people would be like, why didn't you guide this information?
Yeah. NVIDIA, do I believe they're an ethical company? I don't know, man. Like I'm just so not close to this. You guys are definitely closer to it than I am. What do you think,
I think
Wiz?
no, I don't think that any company guiding for a record-breaking quarter during this period is behaving necessarily ethically that much. Maybe, trying to say they're gonna do extremely well on the next one and not do a guide, maybe. But to me, just this, there's something wrong with this company. There's something wrong with the way they mention AI over 50 times in an earnings call or whatever it is. And I don't see it as being ethical. I don't believe the AI space has that much, you know, right now, I don't think it has as much potential as people want it to. I think they're being a
It's been
bit too
around for
optimistic.
so long. It hasn't changed the
Well,
way that we live our
it's
life in the last 30 years. And it's been around for AI started in the 90s. We were talking about it.
Yeah, and it was just called machine learning until now. Now all of a sudden it's AI because AI in movies is different than what it is in real life, and consumers are easy to confuse that. And I really feel like it's a trap to lure in retail investors that just don't understand the difference. They like Nvidia, they're long on Nvidia, and there's a lot of people who are that just don't may not really understand what Nvidia is actually selling them.
But
So
it's the Amazon effect though. That's the problem, is that
yeah,
there's so many people who remember, like, no one believed in Amazon and everyone was like, you're an idiot for buying into this company. It's a bookstore company. It's an online bookstore company at best. And people were like, well, it's going to grow into its valuation. Tesla, same thing. I never thought Tesla was going to be as successful as they were, and they grew into their valuation. Then their valuation got ridiculous again, but people are trying to find that next company that's going to grow into the valuation and make them a millionaire.
I think
you
that's
know the
spot
the,
on.
the the fastest way to become a millionaire is to not lose your money options trading.
Yeah, I think options have a place. I think options. I like selling options rather than buying them because I
Yeah.
think that's just a safe way to play it. Like if you're going to buy a stock anyway and you like it, then write some
At least
puts,
buy
man.
it and get
Write
paid.
some puts. Exactly. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, King, just for context, we were talking about SoFi earlier because we talked about it last pod, and a mate of ours, Clay, was mentioning a buy that Morgan Stanley did in the second quarter.
Yeah, yes, I believe SoFi is going to zero, so I'm buying an 80% stake or increase in my stake in them. Yes.
That's exactly what we're talking about. And just the timing of it, how they had like the 13F where they did the huge buy. Then on the 13th of July, they said sell SoFi. So in theory, it's possible that they have trimmed that position that they bought because they could have bought it at the lows. Like the second quarter was when it hit like under 5. So it's potential they bought it and then they saw the position go up 100% and they have trimmed and said sell. I don't
It
know.
might have more to do with the student loan thing and the courts though too. They could have bought into it because they thought that it was going to be the end of it when the Supreme Court decided their the student loan moratorium was not right. But then they're going to get a workaround on it anyways, so maybe now it's a sell because the same
To
reasons why it
me,
was a sell before.
that workaround's not going to pan out. I still think people are still going to have to pay that money, and they're going to be extremely pissed off when this next workaround does not pan out. It may take a while for that to be realized, but
What is the proposed
um,
workaround, boys? Like, what is the workaround?
well,
I It makes the
they're
payment zero somehow. I actually haven't read into it too much. I just kind of saw that they're doing a workaround to it.
you know, they're going to try to use the administrative powers at B to change the payments, and to me, that's essentially doing the same thing they said before. It's just not doing it by the same means.
So the
And
way
so
the way I understood
legally
this,
legally speaking, I think the Supreme Court had a problem was the fact that they were canceling a debt that only Congress can do that. So to me, it's the same exact ruling, but maybe there's something I don't understand about that. I guess we'll find out
Are
if
we
there's a way for anyone to get recourse, but
are we
I don't
talking
know,
about
just making it.
talking
Yeah,
about two separate issues here? So the moratorium is meant to be ending in like the end of September, and that's a stay on payment, which is going to be lifting. So people will have to start
they're
paying
gonna
in.
for certain loans, they're gonna make the repayment number, I think, 0.
As in,
So
they're going to cancel some of those
Not can't
loans.
not cancel the loans. They're gonna allow you to restructure them so that there's no payment ever.
yeah, yeah. So you will
So
always owe the money, but you'll never pay more than 0.
I don't understand that. So like, it'll just sit on SoFi loan book as a bad debt forever. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, because SoFi makes a lot of their money from people refinancing the student loans that they have. So you went and got a student loan backed by the government, but you don't want to pay it back because and you can't really get rid of it because you can't bankruptcy out those student loans. So you go to SoFi, and you refinance that loan for different terms or whatnot. And that was kind of one of the things they were making a lot of money on. Since then, SoFi's branched out into so many other areas that I really don't know how much this really affects them too much anyways. But
Well,
Well, fair enough.
ultimately speaking, that no one's going to make money from you on that loan.
So
So
does this tie in with, because I was told, again, I'm still in the little research phase here and I'm not as close to it, but I was told that there was a proposal going forward I think you mentioned it in the current legislative period that the Biden administration will agree to pay interest on those loans if the holder, if the consumer makes a minimum repayment. So, is this part of the same
I think
issue, or
this
is
is
this separate?
I think it's different. Um, I think that if I was a bank, right, and I had these student loan obligations, um, and somehow the government, and this is the part I'm not clear on, is which loans they're talking about. Because King, correct me, I think that there are certain loans held directly by the government that you pay, correct? Maybe not. We'll come back to another time. Somebody can correct me on it. But ultimately speaking, I think that if they can do that for all of the types of loans wherever they're secured and how they're secured, I think the banks would have recourse to sue because they are owed those payments, they are owed that money. And that's really going to make the difference to me. So if they can pay them the interest with people paying 0, maybe it's a combined effort, then maybe the banks won't be as mad, but they're still owed that principal. So what are they going to do? Pay them interest in perpetuity if people don't pay?
Who would they sue
That
in that scenario?
the government.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because they would. I think they would sue the administrative part for the federal loans. So I think that's the Department of Education is who they would go after.
It's an interesting.
Uh,
I gotta go deeper in this one because it does seem like a very interesting prospect. I still think though the fact that they're not profitable, valued at $8 billion. Like if I were going to buy this company, I would much rather than be at those lows from May, like about $5, because
yeah,
you know, I don't know. We need to see. There's so many unknowns and so many potential catalysts, and it's banking or anything financial is always a little bit opaque because you
there's
only sort
always
of go on.
yeah. Well, there's always worse companies out there. I guess if we had to choose one, it's probably
Oh,
better than others.
do you want to speak about a worse company? The other day I was having a chat with our mate Yellow Fellow, and
Oh God.
he was talking about this particular stock which was about to have earnings, and has since had earnings, and it's called Imperial Petroleum Inc. Did you see him talking about this one?
I did not,
So
but
Imperial
he always
Petroleum
has
Inc.
the most interesting plays that he
Oh my
talks
God,
about.
this is another one, man. Like this one is it's on the NASDAQ. IMPP is the ticker. This is general in nature. Do your own due diligence. It's and you've obviously just seen the chart because when he talked about it, it was trading at like $3 and it's like a $50 million market cap. I had a bit of a look into the website. It's a Greek shipping company. They ship oil. So edible oils like olive oil, etc., but also like petroleum and things like that. They looking at their financials, the last year results look brilliant compared to their market cap. But then if you zoom out, look at the last like over the last 15 years. And I say 15 years because they've been public for a couple of years. They must have been private, and then they must have been public again way back when. But if you look at their business, it's very cyclical. So they have like years where they earn no revenue and no profit, and then massive outsized years where they earn heaps of revenue and heaps of profit. But there's just so little information about this company. Anyway, long story short, after earnings, it has gone from $3.09 down to trading at $1.52. So yeah, lost well over 50% of its value since our mate Yellowfellow told me about it. I don't think he was in this particular one, Wiz, but yeah, seeing the chart was funny.
Does he know about the convertible bonds?
Oh well, I think he did know about it prior because he was saying to me like, oh, there's going to be a registered direct offering. What do you think's going to happen to the price? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Who knows? Who knows these days? But I said, look, I wouldn't be buying it based on the cyclical revenues anyway, and like how little information there is. And then yeah, obviously the RDO was not taken favorably because yeah, it's diluting the company.
Well, you got to be really, really careful with companies that have like those some of these kind of convertible bonds, because sometimes it's the last chance that they have to get some kind of money in, some kind of a capital in before they go bankrupt. They'll do a convertible bond like this 8.75% Series A that they have right now for preferred shares. And it's just their last attempt to try to like, okay, if we just get a couple of dozen millions or whatever, I don't even know how big this company is. If we get, $100 billion or whatever infusion, we might be able to make it until we do get profitable.
Nah, this is a penny king. It's like the offering was like $17 million. The market cap is $24 million now. It's a tiny company.
Just the inside my mind, I'm hearing Enron. I'm hearing the last convertible bonds the week before they went under, because that's what they did. Was they were like, let's try to get as much money as we can. Maybe we can get some way out of this. And then the next week it was like, okay, it was all fraud, and we really don't have any money.
Briggs and Stratton during the pandemic, when they on the earnings call were like, yeah, it's all good, everything's all fine.
Countrywide, WorldCom, they all did it. Like literally the week before they go bankrupt, or like a couple weeks before they go bankrupt, they will issue these crazy convertible preferred shared bonds, and people eat it up because they're just like, oh, it gives me first rights to their debt or whatever. Yeah, I wonder how that worked out for all the banks that failed. But
and then they pay all the board with a massive golden handshake. Yeah, it's all fucked up. But yeah, well, lads, bonus round going well. Is there anything in particular you want to have a chat about while we've got the best trader in the world? King?
Oh, I thought Keta just joined for a second.
I mean sincerely you, my friend. When are you going to go back to teaching me how to trade better?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Where do you think inflation's going to go, King?
I think we're going to see a surprise deflation in all of the wrong parts of the economy, and sticky inflation in all of the wrong parts of the economy. I kind of see a double-edged sort of bad news coming. The student loan thing, if it does ever go back into the way that it used to be, is going to be hugely deflationary in the economy. We're already seeing the consumer tapped out. We're going to see commodity prices come down because you can see deflation in China already. I'm sure you guys talked about that before. Yeah, I see maybe like bad parts of the economy, like things you don't want to have go up, but then you're going to have like people's assets, homes, cars, the value of the dollar all kind of start to go down.
It's a bleak picture you paint, my friend. And yeah,
it is, but I'm truly a believer that the Fed is always wrong, and everyone's saying how right they are right now, and how the soft landing is a masterwork of monetary policy. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, Wiz and I were sort of alluding to this before, about how calling it a soft landing is almost insulting because people are doing it so tough already, and it has to get worse before it gets better. So, but I also think credit where credit is due. I think they have managed. I think the US Fed has managed through this crisis relatively well.
Yeah, I wouldn't give them credit for managing the crisis. I would give the economy credit for being a lot more resilient than anyone thought that it was going to be. But I can tell you this, I'm getting a lot of 2008 vibes right now. I am from the Detroit area. We generally get our recessions before everybody else in the country does. And right now, there are for lease and for sale signs on commercial properties everywhere. There are very little traffic on the roads, well, the ones that aren't being under construction. There's very little traffic on the roads, and that generally tells me that the auto industry is not going to be doing well in the future.
It's actually interesting that you mentioned 2008 because good friend of ours, Pingu, shout out Pingu, was sharing Michael Burry's Scion Asset Management 13F position from the last quarter as well, and he had about roughly $1.6 billion in either SPY puts or QQQ puts. So, yeah, I think one of the most famous investors in the world shares the same sentiment as you, King.
Yeah, I think right before we got on here, I saw somebody was talking something about 1.6 billion not being a lot of money, and then I kind of chuckled for a second because I think that person has like $25 in their account or something. But
I would be careful with Burry because, he's not going to bet the farm, like he did in 2008. Again, he doesn't have to do that. So, I mean, who knows what his actual capital is, but he's not going to go 100% short unless he has something a lot more reliable than the CPI numbers.
Yeah, Barry is definitely long. Like, we know he's long. But he's long on, like, I haven't kept up with like his buys and sells, but I remember he was long on water rights for a while. I know he's long on private prisons, or maybe there's one particular company that is in that space that he's long on, deeply long on. So he moves in and out every quarter. But a $1.6 billion bet on the economy tanking, that's a sizable bet. No matter what his assets under management are, 1.6 billion is a large sum to be putting in there, even if it's a hedge.
but he might also be branching out a little bit more into volatility play too, because VIX has been unnaturally low. Even with this rally, VIX has been unnaturally low, and he could just be playing maybe a long game for like, okay, if we do get volatility, and I'm in these options, because you mentioned that they seem to all be options that he's got. Maybe he's just trying to make some money off the volatility going up on him.
A little mini Volmageddon would be very profitable if he bought those when VIX was almost single digits.
Down to 13 for a while, yeah.
Yeah, it just went back down to the 14s today. So I mean, it's not a bad way to make some money, but I mean, I don't know. It's one thing you can tell, and I always tell people this, is when I've been telling people this, I think, for the past year and a half, is if you see less women trying to sign up for OnlyFans, and you start seeing the more popular creators complaining about how less support they're getting financially, the bottom's out of the tub. That's when you go all short. Everything's fucked. Unemployment's about to go sky high. That's it. That's the sign. Because if the simps can't pay their girls' bills, then they don't have money to buy anything else, do they? So just keep that in mind, guys.
Mate, that's the strip club is a leading indicator. OnlyFans, leading indicator. It's,
I'm just jousting, of course, like obviously
mate, I'm dead
that
serious.
is
It's funny, but that's true though, I reckon. I reckon that's
yeah,
true.
it's more true than it probably should be. And I know people who have saying that it has slowed down. We saw Twitter engagement slowed down for them. They complained about that. They still are. So it's I think it's a real deal. I think that you need to look at the other kind of indicators out there in the economy, and that's a more visible one.
It's like you said, it's the professional adult dancer metric. If your average professional adult dancer has a nicer house than you know you're in a bubble. If your professional adult dancer can't find enough money to pay rent, then you know you're in a recession.
That is
Yep.
spot on,
So
boys. And while
I
we
think
were,
we're heading. Oh,
I think we are too. I think we're here. I'm going to go out and do some boots on the ground research on the weekend. Have a have a look at the stripper indicator and just see what's going on. But
I don't think that's a friendly word on YouTube, so just be careful with that.
which particular word did I use?
Professional adult dancer.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. No, it's okay.
Professional,
When I upload, I'll tick not safe for kids, and I'll tick explicit content. It's fine. You have to anyway because we've been cursing. I had a bit of a brain thought while we were just chatting now, and when we get King on to the We Hate Money podcast, we should call it King's Corner. King's Corner. What do you reckon?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's call it. Maybe not King's Corner, but what's another good one?
Spitball.
Maybe
spitball.
King hates your money.
let's keep changing it and see if people remember that.
Well, I mean, what did you guys have? Three views or something on the last one? So.
Yeah, but we didn't advertise. We were just that was a tester, mate.
I don't think I ever got more than like 36 or 40 views on any of mine. So
we have a subscriber, Meg, Big Meg, subscribe.
Oh yeah, Big Meg. What's up, Big Meg? Thank you, Big Meg. Shout out, Big Meg.
Bryson King subscribed too. So
that's my
there you go.
Fuck yeah.
Too. Heck yeah. Maybe we should do a special Price in King segment.
Maybe we have the bear. We should bring the bear back. I should get the bear out.
Okay, this is it. Yeah. This is it. So this is the Priced in King segment. It's a bonus round. It happens intermittently whenever King feels like it. And you can expect more from the We Hate Money podcast.
Heck yeah. All right.
Well, good chat, boys. And see you next week, Wiz and King. Hopefully we'll see you when we see you.
Just remember, diamonds are forever, but theta's a guarantee.
We like it.
All right,
we love
everyone.
it. See you later, all.
Have a good one.